We're going to start now in chapter 13, starting in section 1, which is the history of Africa. We're going to discuss the geography of Africa, how the people lived in Africa, and some of the beliefs. Africa is the second largest continent and consists of deserts, mountains, plains, plateaus, and valleys. The geography of Africa is very diverse. You have some areas that, and it's kind of cool, and we'll talk about it as we go. But like Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa is the top of it is covered in snow, and it's technically a polar type climate. And then on the ground, it's a tropical climate. It's very, very hot and muggy, and you can like sit there and look at the snow-capped mountains. It's really cool. And we'll talk a little bit about that. Rifts are long, deep valleys formed by the movement of the Earth's crust, and sub-Saharan Africa is Africa south of the Sahara. So those are just a couple of terms that you need to know. Here's a map of Africa, and Africa takes up a large part of the a large part of the world. I mean, it's a huge continent, and at the top up here, it looks like it's surrounded by water. It's not an island; they just kind of blocked out the part that's not Africa, so it doesn't look like that. Whenever if you actually look at a real map, it's there is some water up through here. It's the Mediterranean Sea, but there's land that goes up through here, and then there's land that goes up through here. So, but that's just kind of gives you an idea about the map of Africa and all the different countries that make up Africa. The water source in West Africa helps people to live there. For example, there are 4 different regions that make up the area surrounding the Niger River. The northern band is the southern part of the Sahara. And so, again, these are just some of the different regions of Western Africa and what Africa is made up of. The next band is the Sahel, which is a strip of land with little rainfall that divides the desert from the wetter areas. And farther south is the Savannah, which is grassland with scattered trees. And now, if you're familiar with the Lion King movies, the Lion King is based in the African savannah. And so you kind of get an idea about the way that looks, especially if you watch the live action Lion King, you kind of see a real footage of that kind of area. The last is the rainforest, which is moist, densely wooded areas. We talked about the rainforest last year in geography. And so this is what's made up of Western Africa. That's what we're talking about right now. So these are the different countries that make up Western Africa. So you see here, this is the Saharan Desert. This is the Sahel right here, and just kind of gives you an idea of what it looks like. And so that kind of shows you that. Also, you have here's a picture of some animals. This map over here shows you what is desert, what's the grassland or savanna, the woodland forest, the coastal forest, and the rainforest. The rainforests are going to be typically right there on the equator. That's where rainforests are located, both in South America and in Africa. Here's some more pictures of what it looks like. This is the African rainforest. West Africa's land is some of its greatest resources. Traditional crops grown in West Africa are things called dares, cola nuts, and grains. Gold is also a highly prized and comes from the forest, and salt, which comes from the Sahara, keeps things from spoiling. So these are 2 big resources in Africa, especially West Africa, is gold and salt. So the salt trade, you see that it comes in these slabs, like these different slabs of salt right here. That's what that is. And of course, this is gold. Salt is traded for gold and other goods, ideas, and help to spread Islam. We see a lot of, we talked about the Islamic chapter, remember it's spread through caravans, and a lot of this is in Africa. A lot of Africa is Islamic countries. A typical West African family is called an extended family. It's a father, mother, children, and close relatives in one household. The men typically hunted, farmed, raised livestock, while the women farmed, collected firewood, ground grain, collected water, and cared for children. So that's typically how they live their lives. It's kind of hunter-gatherer societies in a lot of Western African culture, but they do also farm and live in one location. African families believe their ancestral spirits remain close by, so they would place carved statues in remembrance. A lot of Africa has what's called ancestor worship, where they would do sacrifices, statues, altars in honor of their former family or their loved ones that passed away. Um, Maybe not necessarily that they're worshiping their ancestors, but they're honoring their memory. And there's a lot of that in China as well. One belief called animism is the belief that bodies of water, animals, trees, and other natural objects have spirits. And this is going to be pretty normal of native peoples in the United States. They had animism as well. It's where you believe that the wind has a spirit, and the earth has a spirit, and the water has a spirit, that kind of stuff. Around 500 BC, Africans discovered iron. That's going to change the way that life in Africa is done. And gold and salt mines also begin to take over. So that's section one. Not a whole lot in that. There are some videos in Google Classroom you can watch to kind of go with it. There's a lot of interesting things about Western Africa. But this is just some of the things that we're talking about in this chapter.